Business Radio.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Schwetz, AVP of Community Relations at Jovia Financial Credit Union, along with Donyshia Boston Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand, marketing and digital agency. And we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship.
We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders in the community and the industry. Now, Ray, there's a lot going on, as we know. We came through, we're coming through this pandemic and COVID-19, and there's so many people out there that really need help. And I'm sure you have so many connections and friends to help guide us through this time.
Yeah, and I would say that that's one of the things that's very inspiring is seeing some of the work, specifically in the nonprofit sector, that's being done to help those in need. And I would say we're very blessed to have a leader amongst us in that area. Helping provide us with business empowerment today is Paule Pachter, and he's the CEO of Long Island Cares. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you. Why don't you tell us how you got started in this area, how you got to working with nonprofits and working with LI Cares?
Well, I've been involved in the nonprofit sector on Long Island now. This is my 41st year. I lived on Long Island. I went to Delphi University, received my bachelor's and master's degrees in social work, and then set out to find my career. And it's been a very rewarding career for the last 41 years. The highlight of the 4 decades have to be the 13 years that I've spent as the CEO of Long Island Cares and the Harry Chapin Regional Food Bank. The organization, as you know, provides emergency food assistance to about 370 community organizations, the pantries, the soup kitchens, the daycare centers, et cetera, in addition to a broad array of direct service programs that we provide ourselves. But primarily, we provide emergency food relief for people who are struggling with food insecurity and hunger, of which currently on Long Island, those numbers have increased by approximately 63%.
Scary.
Sure.
It's tough times. Now, for those who don't know, how does the mission of Long Island Cares tie into the musical legacy of Harry Chapin?
Well, we have the distinction of being one of the very few charitable organizations in the country, certainly on Long Island, that was founded by a musician and who has roots in the music industry. And, there are people that remember in the 70s, Harry Chapin's career, his music, his songs, and the fact that he was a respected and affected social advocate. In fact, it was Harry in 1978 who was able to convince then President Jimmy Carter to establish the very first presidential commission on on hunger and malnutrition. So when we do our work, when we look at our policies, our public profile, our corporate culture, we always revert back to the part of our history with Harry and his social activism. And especially now with food insecurity on the rise and, throughout the United States, with what we're seeing with systemic racism, what we're looking at with social injustice, and now, of course, a failed insurgence on our nation's capital, we as an organization feel compelled, based upon who our founder was, to speak out and to take necessary action to help our communities understand why there are people in our communities who are food insecure and what the causes of food insecurity are. And if we don't get things like systemic racism and like social injustice under control, we will never be able to control food insecurity or lessen it to a degree where it's not a major issue in the United States. So that's our history. The music, the Cats in the Cradle, the taxi, and all that. That's one thing. The other thing is Harry's role as a social activist, and we try to follow that as best we could. It includes, as you could imagine, this is Long Island, taking calculated risks when you speak out in public, but we've got things to say, and we're just going to say them.
That's fantastic, and you're doing great work. When I hear you mention President Jimmy Carter, there's so many advertising commercials right now that's for Jimmy that's stating like folks like Harry and musicians alike are the reason why he was elected. But when you fast forward to present day with the pandemic that really unveiled all the food insecurity, and you see everyone out here in dire need, online for their food pantries, it leads one to think like, what's a day-to-day like in your life at Ally Cares, and what your mission really is for the community.
Well, what we've been doing since March over the last 10 months is making sure that we bring in enough healthy food, enough of a variety of food, and have the financial resources to support the network, to make sure that all of our pantries and soup kitchens are in good shape, that they're strong, that they have the resources they need. Because what we're looking at right now is about another 240,000 people who are coming to the pantries and the soup kitchens, coming to Long Island Cares for food support. And that is all due to the pandemic and the unemployment and the self-isolation that comes along with that. A lot of people were furloughed, and then the furloughs became terminations, and they collected unemployment, and then they're waiting for more stimulus checks, they're waiting for additional support, and it's not coming soon enough. So we find ourselves right now trying to not only support the 370 organizations, but also the increase in 230,000 more people who are showing up for food and personal care products and household supplies and gift cards and pet food and everything else that we deal in at Long Island Cares.
Now, how are you sustaining that? How are you working on solving that problem, or what things are you embarking upon?
Well, to be honest with you, the way that we're able to sustain the current levels of what we're doing is because of the generous support of the corporate sector, the private sector, and donors like you and me. We have raised a considerable amount of money since March. We've been very fortunate. We've gotten additional fiscal support from some in local government, various townships, certainly Nassau and Suffolk County, the town of Hempstead, Babylon, Huntington, but the community, our donors, we have picked up in the last 10 months, 15,000 additional donors to Long Island Cares, and they are coming from all over the country. Some are coming because they see the stories on the television. Others are coming because they're Harry Chapin fans and they know of the organization and they want to help. We've gotten more than our 15 minutes of fame in the last 10 months with people, interviewing myself and the staff and following us around and talking to the people who are struggling through the pandemic. So that has resulted in people just opening up their wallets and checkbooks. And so we're very confident that we have the resources we need to continue at this pace, at least through the rest of this year if needed.
You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHBC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston Hill, and our guest today is Paule Pachter, CEO, Long Island Cares. Now, what do you enjoy most about your work? There's certainly you just mentioned that you're being sustained through the generosity of partners in the community. There's a lot, I would assume, that's very heartwarming about what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always answer this question the same way. What I like most about my job, it's the people I work with. It's the 63 people who are Long Island Cares, the 21 people that are on our board of directors. That just makes coming to work every day enjoyable because everybody gives 110% of their time. We don't really punch a clock here. We work when we have to work. We stay until whatever we have to stay. In the last few months, we began to open up our building on Saturday so that we have staff who are sorting and repacking food because the donations are coming in very strongly in the last few months. So, and we have our 5 satellite locations plus our super pantry and Bethpage that's operating. Our mobile food deliveries go out on the weekends as well. So for me, the most rewarding thing I have in my career right now are the 62 people that I work with and the dedication and the concern that they have for their neighbors in need. Something very special.
Absolutely. And it's always good to have friends. You're definitely a friend of the show, along with Long Island Cares. But what are some of the most challenges that you're facing during this pandemic? And how can our listeners get involved and help you?
Well, we've been rather calculated over the last 10 months. I mean, initially March through June, we shut down volunteer opportunities. We didn't want to bring people into the building because we didn't want to spread anything. We didn't want them to spread anything. But gradually we're going back. We've encouraged our pantries to open up, to let 1 or 2 people in at a time, as opposed to having people wait outside and then you bring them a box of food that they had nothing to do with choosing. So we're just giving people these boxes, regardless of whether we know they eat it or not. So we decided as we began this year to start bringing people back in. Let them pick the box, we'll pack it for them based upon their own needs. So a challenge has been, bringing back that personal touch that we have in working with people in need. But also it's been challenging, to stay on top of the work because there are so many Zoom meetings and so many task forces going on at the same time, and everybody wants to talk and strategically plan together. It's been fine, but it takes time. We were able to bring on 30 temporary staff members to help us during last year. And it was hard saying goodbye to at least 20 of them that, left at the end of the year, but we were able to keep 10 on and employ them permanently. So that was good. So, it's just challenge. Initially, March, April, May, the challenge was really getting the purchased food in here because the deliveries, which usually take 2 or 3 weeks, were taking 8 to 12 weeks. And so we did have a week or two and we were, in my opinion, dangerously low on food, but everything is self-corrected. We have more food coming in now than was coming in 10 months ago.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Doing fine with the inventory.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I would imagine that challenge is huge. Now, I also imagine that there's some misconceptions about the work that you do. What have you found are some of the misconceptions people have about Long Island Cares?
It's a good question. I think one of the misconceptions people have about our organization is that all the food we provide to the community is donated, that it comes to us through food drives. That's a wonderful thing. We love food drives, but they only represent about 23% of the food that Long Island Cares secures for the region. The other, 77% of the food coming into Long Island Cares is either coming in because we purchase it or it comes in through corporate donations, the retail side. So that's one misconception, that, this is all about food drives. If you're not having food drives, you'll run out of food. We love the food drives, but trust me, we're not going to run out of food. We're doing okay. There's plenty of food to buy. That's really, I don't hear any other misconceptions about the work we do. I think for the most part, people understand the organization. Sure, there are people out there that get confused between Long Island Cares and an organization like Island Harvest. They think we're the same. We're not. But the important thing is, somebody said it best the other day who came here. They said, you'll never understand what Long Island Cares is about until you go visit it and understand what they're doing and how they do it. Because when you walk into our warehouse in Hauppauge, you're caught off guard by how much food there is in there, and that the extent of the issue of food insecurity in Nassau and Suffolk County. Right now we're looking at about 11, 12% of everyone that lives here struggling with food. That's too high of a number. It's way too high. But the other misconception, now that I think of it, is most people think that the people who are coming to Long Island Cares or coming to the pantries are people who we would think are people who would be food insecure. They're poor people, they're people of color, they're people who are disenfranchised, they're immigrants. Not only that, they're illegal immigrants. No, guys, 2/3 of the people that come to our network for food are working class white Long Islanders. That is who they are. The population that we occasionally stereotype for poverty and food insecurity, that only represents 30% of the people that come to our network. The majority of people who come are people on Long Island who we would consider to be the working poor. They're making anywhere up to $60,000, $70,000, have a family, including children, and can't put enough food on the table because of the other expenses with renting an apartment or owning a house. So those are the two misconceptions that I've seen over the 13 years that I've been here.
Wow.
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, doing the food drives, I think that you mentioned it. You come and see. It's really that is what shows you the difference, because when I experience food drives, that's where you see the people who are coming, and it does blow your mind. It's a scary, scary thing. It affects all of us.
Yep.
So, Paul, in light of the world we live in today, I know a lot of fundraisers and had to make a major pivot. You mentioned a lot of what you do purchase your supplies and in the food. What type of changes have you had to make to raise money or to secure funding so that you can provide these supplies to the public?
Well, one of the first things that we had to do right after the pandemic began to affect us is we actually canceled our special events. Our 40th anniversary dinner was supposed to be held in March, and then we canceled our golf outing. While most nonprofits were going into, doing virtual events, live auctions online, and having dinners online, we chose not to do that. We chose to really reach out to our donors individually. People have seen us a lot on television, our commercials, the articles in the paper, and we've been able to, as I said, raise more money this year than we've raised in probably the past 3 years combined. So we're doing fine. We're one of the few organizations. I know some people look at me and question why. We were one of the few organizations that actually turned down money from Feeding America early on in the pandemic, because we felt that there are other food banks in the country that are smaller than us, that work in larger areas than we do. And right now we're doing okay with money. The second go round, like 3 months later, yes, then we requested the money for a specific purpose. But, we're happy to, accept donations from the public. But the other thing that's important for us is that we need to let the public know how we're spending their donations. And there's a need to be transparent, and there's a need to allow people to tell us where they want their contributions to go. We've received many contributions in the last 10 months from people directing their check, whether it's a $50 check or a $10 check or a $1,000 check. They've asked us to put it towards our veterans programs, to put it towards our pet pantry, to put it toward the homeless outreach that we do. And when I say transparent, that's what we do. If you donated $50 tomorrow and said, I want this to go to buy pet food in your pet pantry, that's what we would do with it because you asked us to do it. So, we try to accommodate all our vendors. But again, the majority said, just use the donation for the good work you're doing. So that's fine too.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Paule, Pachter, CEO of Long Island Cares. My name is Donyshia Boston Hill, along with Ray Schwetz on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Now, Paul, you mentioned some differentiators. What would you say is the major differentiator between Long Island Cares and some of the other food pantries that are out there?
Well, I think one of the things that really does set Long Island Cares apart is this network of direct services that we've established over the last 13 years. We are, in my understanding, we are the only food bank in the country that has these satellite programs. It's like having 5 other Long Island Cares in the community. The storefronts that we've opened up where we operate our own pantries. We provide office space for allied organizations in the region to come and set up their operations and talk to the people we serve about healthcare, about ESL classes, about, assistance with home heating. So people can come to our satellite and get a lot of information in addition to picking up food. We're one of the few food banks in the country that operates a pet pantry. Not many people see the benefit of dealing in pet food. We do, because if the family is hungry and they have a family pet, chances are the pet's hungry too. So I think that's been sort of one of the hallmarks of Long Island Cares. And then again, our social advocacy work that we do, which totally is tied into, the Chapin model of the way things can be done in working with elected officials. So I think those are things that set us apart from other organizations. But look, we're so proud to work with the 370 agencies that we support. We've been able this year to give them, on any day of the year, we give out about $200,000 in small grants to our pantries to help them with their infrastructure. Last year, we were able to give over $300,000 to them. If we got a big donation, we shared that with many of our agencies. So we were giving out $2,000, $3,000 checks every single day to some of these organizations to help them hire more staff, to help them buy equipment. We're all in this together. So, if it's like a dominoes, if one of us goes, the rest of you go. So let's all stay together, do what we have to do. We didn't do much in the way of these drive-through distributions because we have so many sites that we work out of. We didn't think it would be necessary to do anything in a drive-through and, have 1,000 cars waiting online. I'm not criticizing that. I think it's wonderful. Most food banks in the country adopted that model. But again, what sets Long Island Cares apart? That's not our model. Our model is when you come to us and you need food, we're going to sit and talk to you for a while and find out what brought you here, why you're food insecure, what happened in your life. We're going to give you food and we're going to give you the resources and the tools to become more self-sufficient. Harry always said, this organization has to strive for getting people out of poverty because poverty is the major root cause of hunger.
Now, Paul, for those people listening and they may decide, you know what, I'm going to go to the food, the drive-through because I'm scared of COVID versus coming and walking up and having one-to-one interaction with your team. Can you just share with them some of the precautions or the experience they will have as you have safety measures in place to protect them and protect your team and protect them as well?
Well, if they come to any one of our satellite locations, they are going to get their temperature taken. They are going to fill out the COVID-19 protocol. And then they're going to socially distant with our staff. And we will bring them into the pantry and they will stay in one spot. My staff will stay 6 to 8 feet apart and just ask them what food they want. They can see it, it's all over the shelves. So just pick what you want. We'll pack the box and then we'll send you on your way. At our super pantry that we opened up in Bethpage, you walk in and you see the plexiglass wall. Beyond that wall is all the food. It's all on shelves, it's all displayed. All you have to do is point, and the staff and the volunteers will pack the box for you. And this way, we know you're not going to waste any food because everything in that box is something that you eat. I can tell you that I can put peanut butter in a box and pasta in a box, but there are people that don't eat peanut butter and pasta. So we want to, go back to working with people one-on-one and, not being so cautious. You must wear a mask to come into any of our locations. So we're okay. There's hand sanitizer, there's disinfectant wipes. We have everything.
Thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the level of support that you're providing the community is amazing. And thank you so much for the work that you and your team are doing. And that said, how is it that best that people can find you?
Well, we have just launched a brand new website at licares.org. It's more streamlined, more modern than the old one, easier to navigate, or they can just simply pick up a phone and dial 631-582-FOOD, and we will answer the phone.
Repeat
Can't
that.
answer more than that.
The website is licares.org, and our telephone number is 631-582-FOOD.
Thank you so much, Paul. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Stay safe and well.
I'd like to leave you with DB's philosophy today, courtesy of Harry Chapin. To know is to care is to act is to make a difference.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston Hill, your co-hosts and producers. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available on iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Speaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk with you next week. Paul, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Stay well. Good to see you all.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Tower Talk Business Radio.